There are times when a certain character influences you so much that you totally sink yourself into that character. Of all the villains in the history, the Joker is without a doubt one of the most enduring and iconic characters. But why? Despite being a psychopathic, nihilistic murderer, is the character so popular, so loved even? Why do we see that freakish red scar of a smile on so many t-shirts, posters, and memes? The Joker is a complicated character. His crimes are not fueled by the desire for money, ambition, or ordinary motifs. Enough! The terror he spreads is ideological, and his motivations are philosophical. Let's start by exploring his origin story. The classic one, revealed in the brilliant comic, The Killing Joke, is that he was a failed comic trying to make ends meet to support his life with his pregnant wife. He joins a bunch of crooks operating as the Red Hood gang to make easy money. Before the day of the heist, his wife and unborn child die in an accident. He's forced to commit the crime, and in the middle of it is met by the Batman. Startled, he falls into a vat of chemicals in the factory where the crime is taking place and washes up outside the factory, rendered insane. It's a pretty traumatic set of incidents that get him going to where he eventually ends up. The events follow the one bad day principle, in that all it takes is one lousy day to turn your life upside down. Combined with his exposure to chemicals, it's the realization that life is inherently unfair and sort of comical that drives him over the edge. Now, let's try to dig a little deeper into the mind of the Joker. Carl was an early 20th century psychologist and psychotherapist, highly influenced by Sigmund Freud. While controversy surrounds his theories today, one idea of his has stuck around that most people regard as true: we all break bad every once in a while. I explained this phenomenon with a concept called the shadow. The shadow is the part of a person's psyche they refuse to acknowledge. It's the part of you that wishes you could beat up your boss and then steal his wallet. It's the part of you that wishes you could rob a bank in a clown mask or hurl down a public street in a semi firing off rocket launchers. It's the part of you that wants to abandon the rules. According to Jung, a person must recognize those negative impulses to maintain mental health. We must acknowledge the darkness within us but not identify with it. When you don't acknowledge the shadow, what happens is that it breaks free, takes on a life of its own, and comes back to terrorize you and shatter your illusionary superiority. Psychologists tell us of what's called illusionary superiority, the cognitive bias in all of us that causes a person to think far too highly of their positive qualities and far too little of their negative ones. We like to think of ourselves as noble, honest, and good, especially in comparison to other people. We like to believe that we'd never hurt someone or cause any damage of any kind. I'm not saying that's bad or wrong. I'm not calling people stupid either. It's very understandable. It's just something our minds need to do in order to get through the day. During the English Civil War of the 1600s, a guy named Thomas Hobbes was a bit ahead of the curve in terms of this illusionary superiority thing, even if he never exactly recognized it as such. He didn't agree with most people's ideas that they're inherently moral and righteous. Instead, he theorized that without enforced rules, humanity would revert right back to a brutish and immoral nightmare of a society, one chaotic, hellish, and burning, one in which you'd blow up a ferry full of innocents to stay alive. His most famous work was a horrifically dense tome. It contains perhaps his most famous quote of all, what amounts to his justification for the existence of government. No society, and which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Hobbes is saying that without the structured control of the government, what the Joker calls schemers, people become animals, killers, thieves. In the 17th century, this was especially influential and was the major reason Hobbes and guys like him caught on. Government, law and order were absolutely necessary. Hobbes supported the government for fear of immoral chaos. The Joker, on the other hand, because he's a downright anarchist psychopath or psychopathic anarchist, would love nothing more than to see that happen. Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos, the Joker said. It's why he put bombs on ferries. It's why he murders government officials. It's why he tries to corrupt the one person who's a symbol that we don't have to be afraid of people like him. The Joker wants to push a whole city under the wicked gravity of madness and anarchy. The Joker is simply an outlet for the shadow, and such a compelling one that millions have been captivated by him and have vicariously lived out the depravities of their psyche's shadow. It's precisely because the Joker bombs and murders and corrupts that so many viewers get a kick out of watching him. He acts in ways that we sometimes wish we could, deep down, and we get a vicarious rush out of seeing him indulge in such behavior without anyone really getting hurt. Do I really look like a guy with a plan? You know what I am. I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. You know, I just do things. Though eventually defeated by Batman, it appears the Joker does indeed prove his point. Harvey Dent was Gotham City's White Knight, the walking epitome of justice, order, and nobility. But the Joker turns him into Two-Face, who then goes on to murder 5 people, 2 of them cops, using a chaotic, absurdly meaningless method of flipping a coin to determine their fates. This alone symbolizes the Joker's philosophy and mission to disrupt civilized society's sense of illusionary superiority and to humble it by bringing it back down to its savage roots. Love him or hate him, but you can't deny the fact that he's probably the most lovable villain of the comic world. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more.